I can honestly say I've never been more proud of a Packers team when they lost a game. Sure, the outcome wasn't what I would have liked, but they never gave up. On this week's episode, we'll cover the highs and lows of the disappointing loss at home and look forward to shaking it off next week when they face the Rams. We'll also hear from all of you and much more, all coming up next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Welcome. You're amongst friends. I'm Wayne Henderson, and if there was ever an example of woulda, shoulda, coulda, it would have been this game.
I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast. I think we both can agree that this game was an absolute roller coaster of emotions. Started out in the worst way possible, but we had so many sparks of hope in the second half that really made me think our Packers were going to pull it off. And you know what? I don't love my team any less.
Aww.
This is episode 302 of your Packers Fan Podcast, and this time around, we're going to discuss that unfortunate loss to the Vikings, as well as some listener feedback, which is, as always, on point.
And then it's time to preview next Sunday's late afternoon game in Los Angeles. And of course, Scott, you brought your keys to victory, right?
Absolutely, as always. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We got lots of highs and lows to talk about. But first, let's talk about the Packers leaders in the Packers-Vikings game. First off, making his glorious return, Mr. Jordan Love, with a passer rating of 83.0. Not super stellar, but until you look at the numbers, 32 out of 54 passes for 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, and probably what brought that rating down was the 3 interceptions. On the rushing side of the ball, Josh Jacobs, 9 carries for 51 yards, the longest being 13. Jaden Reed was our most successful receiver with 7 catches for 139 yards and a touchdown. And on the defensive side of the ball, Quay Walker, 8 tackles, 6 of them solo, as well as 1 sack. So on paper, this was a pretty decent game for the Packers.
Exactly. Just one of those things where there weren't enough points when time ran out. Another part of the woulda, coulda, shoulda that I mentioned. The opening drive and some of the highlights. First of all, we started on defense because the Vikings elected to receive. McDuffie nearly intercepted on second down. And on the next play, the Vikings had a delay of game, making it 3rd and 15. Feeling pretty good, but unfortunately, the Vikes converted. The very next play, Sam Darnold passes to Jordan Addison for a 29-yard touchdown. And the Vikings led the game 7-0. Wah, wah.
Things didn't get much better with the next drive when we finally got the ball. We did march down the field, moving the chains multiple times, but wound up missing a 3rd and 13 conversion and had to settle for a 37-yard field goal, which Narverson missed. So the Vikings at this point were still leading 7-0.
Yeah, it was bonkers. We did have a little bit of a breath of life in the closing seconds of the first half. Green Bay punted to Minnesota, who muffed the punt. Milton recovered, but because it was called a quote-unquote muff, he couldn't get credit for running it into the end zone for 6 points. So we started from the 3-yard line. LaFleur got a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct, pushing him back to 2nd and goal from the 18. But Love threw a perfect pass to Jaden Reed for the touchdown, and Narveson actually put the PAT through. So it's 28-7. Vikings leading at that point as we were heading into halftime, knowing that we were going to get the ball to start the second half. And about LaFleur, yeah, he was about ready to pop a cork.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell. I saw the after, the replay or whatever. It's funny to just call a replay of a sideline reaction, but he was trying to call timeout and they didn't hear him. So he marched down to tell the ref, I'm calling timeout. The play went off. I'm calling timeout. You're not supposed to go out in the field. I don't understand that rule, but what else you got to do? You got to make yourself heard. If that's the rules, that's the rules. But it's still just, frustrating. But it wound up not really mattering.
I know, but
I
got to say, I was excited about it. I think that LaFleur had every right to go ballistic. And I was for it and hoping that could amp up our team. And maybe that's one of the things that did turn things around in the second half.
Yeah. And speaking of, moving on, McKinney intercepts Sam Darnold in the 3rd quarter. This was Xavier's 4th interception in 4 games in a row, 1 in each game. What a cool stat to be able to say. Could you, 4 games in a row with a pick. So the Packers started on their own 2-yard line. They might have gotten away with one here, as it looks like his elbow might have been out of bounds before he secured the pass. Review said otherwise, however, so I'll take it. Sadly, Green Bay couldn't even get a first down and had to punt from their own end zone, so a super big positive turned out to be just keeping them out of the end zone for the time being, but still love to see that 4th in a row. Oh, just keep that streak going, please.
Oh, I can't wait till Sunday afternoon because he will keep that streak going. Now, once we got to the 4th quarter, on our first drive, the Packers brought it to within 2 scores. It was beautiful. Again, working just little by little until Love threw to wide open Dontavian Wicks in the end zone. Packers gave us that hope, Scott. Brought the game to within 2 scores. It was 28-14. Would have been within 1 score if our kicker could have hit those 2 field goals, but alas.
Yeah. Darnold later on turns the ball over again. This time it's thanks to a blindside hit by Nixon in the 4th quarter. The fumble was recovered by Cooper, putting the Packers in scoring position, and then 2 plays later, Love finds Kraft on the sideline, who ran it all the way in for 6. And then they decided to go for a 2-point conversion and actually succeeded. It was now at this point a 1-score game, 28-22. On the next drive, however, the Vikings were able to score another 3 points, extending their lead to 31-22.
So good, so good. The way that he hit Darnold was beautiful. It was textbook. And then with less than a minute left in the game, the Packers brought it to within 2 again. We had an incredibly quick drive, including a 42-yard pass to Reed. The drive was capped off by a touchdown pass to Wicks from 17 yards away. The extra point was good. The score was 31-29. So the Packers outscored the Vikings 29-3 in the second half of the game. Unfortunately, Green Bay wasn't able to convert on the onside kick because that almost never works, but you got to try.
Well, when you got to call it and you got all these goofy rules, I mean, obviously we were going to onside kick at that point, right? There's no way you're not going to.
Exactly.
So, I mean, all of those positives really, that second half was so exciting. I was on the edge of my seat thinking, are they going to pull this off? Are they going to Tom Brady this game? And it really felt like it, man. If just, could you imagine recovering that onside kick and then just all we need to do is get in field goal range in like 45 seconds or something like that? It just would have been amazing.
Well, let's not go crazy with field goal range on this day. We should have gone down for a touchdown. Absolutely. But, not everything was even as bright as what we just talked about, because the Vikings were able to score on their second drive of the game. The penalties were a concern yet again. We simply let the Vikes march down the field play after play, which got them to that point when they were 14-0. And if we don't stop with the penalties, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, I know. And then we finally get the ball again, down by 2 scores, and the Vikings intercept on the very next drive. In this play, I'm really not sure why Love threw to Watson, as he appeared to be triple covered by the time the ball got to him. On top of that, Christian Watson got his left foot caught underneath the defender and wound up hurt. That was a really scary moment there. He was grabbing his quad afterwards, but was able to thankfully walk off the field. So I haven't read anything more about how he's doing, but I'm going with the no news is good news situation, or have you heard something?
I heard a little bit just this afternoon that they think it's a high ankle sprain and that it might not be as serious as originally thought, but it's still only Tuesday afternoon, so we have to wait for the official word, hoping for the best.
It looked awful, like watching it in slow motion, but to make matters worse, this turned into another touchdown for Minnesota as Addison got his second of the game on a jet sweep. The Vikings were leading at this point 21-0.
And that was the point when we already weren't feeling all that great, and Narveson missed that second field goal. It was from 49 yards, so that's a pretty long field goal. And we had him try to kick it into the wind. Missed, so it was still 21-0. And I'm thinking we really shouldn't have even tried to kick it from that far in the wind. If there was no wind, I'd say definitely, but oh boy.
Yeah. Next offensive attempt for the Packers led to another Jordan Love interception. This one, when I at first glance didn't look like it was Love's fault, but then after looking at it again, yeah, it was his fault. He threw it too high to the intended receiver. It wound up near the hands of Dobbs, who bobbled it. He wasn't expecting it, and it wound up in the hands of the defender, who ran it back 28 yards into the red zone. That followed up by Darnold throwing another touchdown pass, this time to Jefferson. And man, 28-0 at this point. It was. I was ready to put a fork in us a little bit at this point.
Yeah.
It's kind of disgusting.
It was unbelievable. I really could not fathom that this was real, that I was actually awake and it was 28-0. But
yeah,
Love throws another interception in the fourth with about 6:13 left. This was right when Green Bay was starting to gain momentum, but Love was starting to force some deep throws. And I wonder if, people were saying, he's wearing Brett Favre's jersey into the game today. He's either going to go off and throw 4 touchdowns or throw 4 picks. Came close to doing both. But he was forcing those throws. He tried to throw to Wicks, who didn't even know the ball was in the air. And even if he did know it was coming, there was no way he could have gotten to the ball. Thankfully, the Packers forced a 3-and-out, but it was just a messy day.
Yeah, it really was. And then Green Bay attempts to drive again, only to turn the ball over once more. This time it was a short pass to Kraft. All he had to do was get out of bounds, but he instead tried to go for the first down, and the defender punched the ball out. Minnesota took over on the Green Bay 42. That's thankfully the end of the lowlights, other than the score, which obviously was not in our favor. But there was so much negative to talk about. But I just gotta say, as much as I wanted to win, I am so proud of the Packers for their perseverance in this game. 28-0. They never gave up. They almost won this game because they refused to give up. I was against Love starting this game. And, on paper, Willis has won 2 games. Jordan Love has lost 2. You know what I mean? Or lost 2. It's just, but I'm still saying that I think Jordan Love is the way to go because he just had those clutch passes and clutch plays and scrambles. I mean, he threw the 3 picks, yes. But you gotta take those chances every now and then. I'm happy he's back. I love that we have Willis as a backup, but I'm glad that Jordan Love is back.
I just hope that Jordan Love didn't aggravate that injury a little bit further because we need him for the long haul this season.
Absolutely.
So we're going to hope for the best, but we're a little banged up, but so are the Rams, Scott. So with that in mind, my poll question that I put in the Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com as well as on X at Packers Fan Pod, which facet of our Packers team will show the most improvement next Sunday in LA? Will it be the quarterback play? Will it be our defense? Will it be the receiving squad, the running game, or will the kicking game be most improved in Los Angeles?
Boy, the easy answer is the quarterback play. You take away those 3 interceptions and we win this game. You take those away, and he's over 100 passer rating too. Those were huge factors of this game. This is his first game back after his injury. I think he's back, ready to go, make this happen. So yeah, just wipe away those interceptions, and you're golden.
And I was thinking of putting in the option of there will be a lot less flags, but I don't want to dream the impossible dream just yet. So, like you said, the quarterback play could be an easy pick. I'm going to say that for whatever reason, the kicking game is going to be greatly improved. Hopefully no missed field goals or PATs after the many touchdowns that Jordan Love is going to throw on Sunday. So I'm hoping that's the way it goes. But the votes, that's what counts. When we combined Facebook and X, 57% of the voters said the quarterback play is going to be most improved next week, followed by 25% for the defense, 14% for the kicking game, and then receiving and running both got 2%. So maybe they didn't get any votes because they're already doing really well. Hard to say.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, if you want to be part of the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community, be part of those conversations, head over to PackersCommunity.com. Check out all the fun, especially for our live game chat section during the Packers-Rams matchup. It's always a good time over there. Brett Connor did comment in the group this week. He said, this was always going to be a tough game. Let's be honest and say it through gritted teeth. Vikings are a good team this year. However, we took it down to the wire. The first half was terrible, but I'm proud of how the team picked themselves up and fought back. On to the next one. Go, Pack, go.
Oh, go, Pack, go indeed, Brett. And Dan Dyler posted in the group just a few minutes before we started recording that the Packers are trying out a couple of different kickers today as well as a couple of other players as well. So even though LaFleur said after the game that he's got confidence in Everson, maybe there will be somebody else kicking the ball on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, my wife is pretty much done with him.
She's not the only one.
Sometimes I wish I had a microphone just sitting by the TV so you guys could hear how animated she gets watching those games. It's pretty hilarious. I love having a Packers fan wife.
That's the best kind. So let's dig into voicemails and emails and stuff like that. Packers fans, let your voice be heard. Be part of the show. Recording your voice on your phone or computer, and then email the recording to us at feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. That's right, I said feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. Or you can go old school and call the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3-PACK-GO.
In addition to your thoughts about the Vikings and Packers game, we also need your Wager a Fun score predictions for the Week 6 matchup when the Packers host the Cardinals. As always, your deadline for your calls will be Mondays at 6 p.m. Central. Let's hear our first voicemail, Wayne.
Hey, Wade, it's Scott. It's Jared in Colorado. Tuning in for the first time. Been really busy between work and school and kiddo, but and also sorry in advance if I sound off. My family and I are getting over COVID, so but anyways, that aside, that was one heck of a game for sure. Frustrating loss, especially considering so much of, even if a half of the mistakes the Packers made, went well or didn't happen at all. Rather, this would have been definitely been in the win column, but frustrating because so much of what they did to what happened in this game in terms of bad things was self-inflicted by the team. But overall, dudes and dudettes, a lot of good stuff to look at from this game. I oddly feel pretty hopeful for the rest of the season because honestly, I see an offense that, when they choose to, they could just turn it on and then just drive down the field and score an answer. And we saw a lot of that. There were so many moments where things were looking bad and then the momentum would shift in the Packers' favor and then it would, shift back. And then the Packers they answered. They get on the field, drive down and score. And that was really, really promising, I think. Really interesting game. Sucks that it was a loss, obviously, but man, you want to talk about some good stuff. I think the Packers have left a lot of good stuff on that field. And if they could just get back to playing disciplined football. I remember Matt LaFleur's first season with the Packers. If I remember correctly, they had the least penalties in the entire league. It was just such a well-disciplined football team. And I feel like if we can get a lot of that back, man, this team would be unstoppable because there's been a lot of things that, frankly, were self-inflicted by the players if they just can't use their heads. But this also comes with the fact that the Packers are still the youngest football team in the league. So anyways, I feel like I'm rambling. Tough loss, but a lot of good stuff on the field. Hope you guys are doing well. And go Pack Go. Let's see what the rest of the season brings.
Go Pack Go indeed. Jared, thank you so much for the voicemail. Hope that you and your family get well soon, man. COVID is no joke. I know that obviously everybody knows that from our experience in 2020 and a little beyond that. But I had it as well, and that is one of the worst illnesses I've had in my life. It was rough. I'm with you about being frustrated about the mishaps. I think you made a good point about we are the youngest team in the league by a long shot too. I think the second closest is almost a full year in terms of average, which is a pretty big gap. But there's, like he said, there's lots of good stuff. There was lots of good things to be seen. It was just those little things that really kept us from having the larger score at the end. So thanks so much for the insightful comment, man. I appreciate it. I don't remember being the least penalized team. It feels like I'm always complaining about penalties, but
Me too.
I will take your word for it because I don't remember that. But we were probably more seasoned at that point. But at least the fact that we are in a quote rebuilding phase right now, with the loss of Aaron Rodgers and starting with Jordan Love, this is a pretty freaking good rebuilding phase if that's what we're going to call it. I think that we are a solid contender.
Oh, absolutely, Scott.
You know what I mean? It's like when you hear rebuilding, you think that we're going to hope for third place and go from there, but we are well beyond that. So I'm really happy with what's happening.
Yeah, because some of the other teams, like I don't know what happened to all of a sudden the Jaguars went from being in the playoffs and now they look like they are rebuilding. It's a messy thing down there. Let's go back and see who gave us a call at +1 920 3PACK-GO.
Wayne Art from Texas. Oh man, where should I start? Well, again, of course, I didn't watch the game. I just heard it mostly through a YouTuber, mostly audio. But I saw some highlights also, and I don't know. Both the defense and the offense were atrocious in the first half. I mean, there was no pressure on Darnold through most of the game, not just the first half. Jordan Love seemed rusty, not in chemistry with the offense. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he seemed to be favoring his knee, like his injury, in my opinion. Like, he even admitted it later on to reporters that, that there's something lingering in his knee. He's not 100%. I don't know, I just feel they should have given him another week at least to try to recover. It's still early during the season, and Malik Harris was doing pretty good. I don't know. Dontavian Wicks, Kraft, and our kicker, they had games they'd like to forget. I don't know. We really need to fix the kicking situation. If it's fixable, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic, but we don't want to go with, a lackluster kicker into the playoffs. Yes, I said playoffs, because I still have confidence in the team. As far as the second half is concerned, man, it was a nail-biter. The defense was solid in the second half, and the offense seemed to start clicking. But I guess it was a bit too late. It's kind of not frustrating, but it's just like, oh man, it's just that the game was so winnable, and that's what hurts. I feel that we had a lot of missed opportunities and self-inflicted wounds, like missed field goals, the dropped touchdown by Wicks, and goodness, all the darn penalties. All this, and we still only lost by 2 points. So that's pretty positive. Despite everything, missing Jair Alexander, the 4 turnovers. At the end of the day, I feel very confident moving forward. The team showed that we could compete with anyone. And we could have won the game against the Vikings. And the Vikings, not to take anything away from them, they seem to have a pretty solid team this year. So there is hope moving forward, but just some issues that we need to fix. Hopefully Jair will come back soon, and we'll take it from there, see how it goes. Grit and gold till I'm dead and cold.
That's right, Art. Thank you so very much for giving us a call from the great state of Texas. And he said playoffs, Scott. You heard him. Hey, if Vikings fans can talk about Sam Darnold being in the league to be the league's MVP after 4 games, then, we can say playoffs. Absolutely. And you made a great point, Art, that you alluded to the fact that the Vikings, although they seem to be pretty solid, I think even the Vikings know that they kind of got away with one. As far as if we would have played just even 5% better, we would have won the game. They wouldn't be undefeated, but that's how that goes. It's kind of a bummer that I see those maps every week that show where the game's going to be aired regionally around the country. And even this game was not the chosen game to be shown in Texas. So poor Art and everybody else in Texas having a hard time finding the game to watch. But pretty soon we're going to be on quite a few primetime games and turn that around. And I agree. Wish we could have given Love an extra week to get to 100%. Is the kicking situation fixable? We've tried quite a few kickers lately, Scott. Can we fix it?
I don't know. It's just a thing that I haven't had to think about for so long, man. Like, it's just, we had moments where Mason Crosby kind of floundered a little bit, or he had like a rough half a season or something, and he just always bounced back and figured it out. Narveson is untested. He's real young. I don't know how you coach a kicker. Like, all right, this time I want you to kick the ball between the uprights. This time, that's what I want you to do.
That's good coaching right there. I think it goes back to what I said last week on the show. We just need to score more touchdowns. Then we won't have this problem.
Yeah. Problem solved.
I'm here to help.
All right, here we go. This is Megan trying to remain as optimistic and upbeat as possible. Post Vikings game at Lambeau yesterday. Okay, so it's funny because I take notes during the game and like my notes were a little less excited, less exclamation marks, fewer all caps, like screaming and writing yesterday. But it is what it is. It was upsetting to lose to Minnesota of all teams, especially for me. But I was happy with the way they came back in the fourth. I just wish that we'd come away with a win, but whatever. Can't do anything about it. So some of my feedback, we'll start with some positives. McKinney on a roll, continues his streak. He's awesome, and we're lucky to have him. I love Romeo. I just think he's humble and he does his job and he shows up in like critical moments, and I think it's awesome. Watson, I'll let other people talk about him. Okay, Matt's penalty. He is usually super cool, calm, and collected, so that was a little bit surprising. I mean, you could totally read his emotion all over his face, even if he's like straight face. You could still tell exactly how he's feeling, but I was kind of on his side. Obviously, I'm always going to take his side because they looked right at him. I don't know. I just was like, I would be pissed too if I was making a call at a critical time, like for a timeout, and you're looking right at me. I wish McDuffie had gotten that interception. Like, that would have been huge for him. And obviously, the missed kicks were a bummer. I'm not necessarily saying fire Narvison, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to start shopping around. I know Matt says, like, he still has a lot of faith in him. And, like, okay, if he had made those field goals, we would have had a higher score, yes, and, like, potentially won. But there were a lot of mistakes that led us to that point. And just being in the hole by so much so early on and having to just throw. Like, Jordan had, 57 passes. And we're obviously a better football team when it's complimentary running the ball, passing the ball, and it was probably too much to put on Jordan his first game back, but, like, what are you going to do? I hope they rest up, really study the tape, really focus. Like, they have that ball meeting every week. They need to be all in the front row of that ball meeting, and, like, no fumbles, protect the football, like, it's just the most precious thing on earth, because it is. Some extra time with, like, freaking fundamentals with the stupid penalties are just getting annoying. Like, I don't want to be known for being the most penalized team in the NFL. And it's, like, almost coming to be expected. And it's just, like, and even on veteran guys, it's like, come on. Not that I could do any better, but, like, come on. You're getting paid a freaking lot of money to do this. Just do your job. Props to Jaden Reed. He had a great game, a career game. He's always so fun to watch. I'm never going to get tired of him. We go out to LA next week, so looking forward to that. And I hope the guys, I know they will, just shake it off and study up for the next week. And I hope they come back better than ever, which they will, because they're the Packers and they're amazing. Thanks for the podcast. Go, Pack, go. I'm trying to be excited. I am excited. Green and gold time, dead and cold. Let's go!
Go, Pack, go indeed, Megan. Thank you, as always, for the call. I love how she described. I didn't know she actually took notes by hand while she was watching the game. I did that for a while, and I just write so slow, and I couldn't read my writing after a while.
Well, that's you, Scott.
I went back to typing, but yeah, she said less all caps and exclamation points this week. I mean, the second half, I would have been probably doing a lot more of those, but. Yeah, she brought up the 54 passes. If you remember my keys to victory last week, I said, don't rely on the run game this week. This week it's about the air, because they're expecting the run. You know what I mean? Because we got a quarterback fresh off an injury, and, you know, Jacobs has been doing really well. And what do you know? They threw the ball 54 times. Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like they're listening, man. What do you think?
I think Megan has another excellent point about we don't want to be known as the team with the most penalties or even in the conversation.
Totally.
Discipline.
Like, it's just, It's getting to the point where, like, I see a good play happen, and I'm like, okay, here comes the laundry.
Right. Let's not get excited just yet. Let's wait to see. Oh, there's no flags. I can get excited.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this story that the Babylon Bee put out saying that, the television announcers have agreed to only mention penalties when they're not called. It's going to save a lot of time.
Go, Pack, go! Hey, we lost. We got the L, but you know what? I know I woke up a Green Bay Packer fan. I know you all woke up Green Bay Packer fans, and we're the best fans in the world, right? That's a recipe for success right there. But man, on Sunday, that sure wasn't. That was like watching a Greek tragedy mixed with a comedy of errors. It's time for them to turn the page on these penalties. I don't understand the indiscipline. 8 penalties. We had 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions. 2 of those were tip balls. We had 2 missed field goals. We were playing without Jair Alexander and Valentine. 5 drop passes. Wicks dropped a touchdown. Dubs bobbled one of his passes that turned into a pick, and they translated into points. McDuffie had that missed interception. Tucker Kraft's mental error to keep running and getting more yards, and it resulted in a fumble instead of going out of bounds to stop the clock, which we needed time to go ahead with the score. That ruined a lot of the momentum. Where's Rashawn Gary? Paid him all this money, and we're not really seeing any results on the field. I say all that negative stuff, but if you think about it, that's all a positive, because all those things went wrong or didn't happen, and we still came up only 2 points short of beating the Minnesota Vikings. Next time we see him, we should just actually wax the floor with them. Good things. I saw Xavier McKinney, of course, with his 4th straight week of having an interception. I'm really liking to see I'm really liking the improvement of Eric Stokes. Jefferson had his touchdown in like 85 or so yards, but, considering he's a top 3 wide receiver, he kept him relatively quiet. Had a good time, met up with a bunch of people. We're trying to start a new chapter of the Indy Packer backers. We ended up having about 15 to 20 of us. So that's cool to see a new chapter of some more Indianapolis-based Packer fans. There already is one, but their meeting place is about a 45-minute drive each way. This one's only about 10 minutes away. So I'm looking forward to being able to be with a bunch of Packer fans and enjoying the season and seeing how it all plays out. Looking forward to next week with the Rams. They're without a lot of weapons. Puka Nakua's out, Kupp is out. But they're still going to be a tough team. But I think we can handle it pretty well. I think Jordan Love came back a little too early. He knocked off a lot of that rust. He's going to have another week of therapy and time, another week to heal. So I think he'll come out looking a lot better, like he looked in the second half. Without having all those errant throws and floater balls, and hopefully make some better decisions. Maybe be a little more mobile in the pocket. I see a win coming. I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm just going to go ahead and say 31-21, go Pack, go. Go, 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 Pack, go.
Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Dyler, a.k.a. Pack Sparrow. Great way to start. We did lose the game, but still woke up being a Packers fan. Didn't you, Scott? You're still a Packers fan.
Still am. I didn't wear my victory tie, but, I still...
It'll be ready for next Monday, that's for sure. And great question. Where is Rashawn Gary?
Yeah, didn't hear his name single time. Yeah, but he made a good point about Stokes stepping up. I had high hopes for that guy when he was drafted, and I feel like we have pockets of awesomeness, pockets of greatness from him. And we're on that upswing right now. I just hope that sticks around.
Yes, please. And Dan, it's nice to hear about the turnout for the Indy Packer backers at the meetup. And yeah, even with all those things going wrong in the game and missing players like Jair and Valentine that we hope will be back soon, even with all those things, we still almost won. So hold your head up very high, Packers, because you're going to march into probably about a 50% Packers fan crowd in Los Angeles and take care of business.
Absolutely. Let's move on to some emails, shall we? We got one from James in Montana, and he says, "Go Pack, go." A frustrating loss to the Vikings. It really felt like we beat ourselves in this one. Way too many mistakes. Some games, those mistakes snowball and the score gets out of hand, and that was definitely true for the first half of the game. But even with all of those mistakes, we lost by only 2 points. That is seriously impressive. I was so frustrated during the first half, as was Matt LaFleur. I don't understand why they ignored him when he was trying to call a timeout, so I'm sure whatever else he had to say after that was just frustration manifested. I was ready for him to keep yelling and get kicked out. I think they calmed down at halftime and cooler heads prevailed, which I would like to think led to the great comeback in the second half. There are some big positives to take away from this game and plenty to learn from. I'm usually a patient man, but I think I'm all out when it comes to our kicking situation. At this point, it's not even worth attempting a field goal if it's further than an extra point. The rematch with the Vikings late in the season is going to be a whole different story, mark my words. Sorry for the long email. I even had to delete a bunch. On the Rams, James from Montana.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, James. I appreciate that. Yeah. Who was it at the beginning of the season on Twitter? It was a former Packer. I think it was Brett Favre that said, yeah, just let Jordan Love go for it on fourth down no matter what they
Yeah,
are.
it was Brett Favre.
I'm getting close to that. How about you?
Yeah, please, just score touchdowns. And James echoed what Art said earlier in his voicemail about the kicking situation, which is one way to put it.
It's a nice way to put it.
I mean, Narveson seems like a great guy, but we got to kick it between the two yellow posts, like you said. So with that, let's preview this game. It's coming up. Your 2-2 Green Bay Packers are heading to Los Angeles to face the 1-3 Rams. Sunday, October 6th, 3:25 p.m. Central Time. It's on CBS here in the U.S., so we get Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. That's 2 weeks in a row. We're playing another NFC team, and it's on CBS. These are wacky times, Scott. I used to be able to figure these things out. Green Bay Packers, we lead this series. I bet you're not surprised to hear that. We lead it 50-47 and 2 ties going back to October 17th, 1937, which we won 35-10 in Cleveland. So, of course, the Rams, the Cleveland Rams, LA Rams, to St. Louis, back to LA again. Who knows where they're going to appear next? Topeka? Anything's possible. Just be ready, Rams fans. One of the great games that I'd love to watch is the Western Conference Championship game in 1967. We beat the Rams 28-7, which moved us on to face the Cowboys in the legendary Ice Bowl. The last 4 matchups with the Rams have all been at Lambeau, which is kind of surprising. And they've all been Packers victories, which is not surprising. So my most memorable game, of course, has to be October 28th, 2018 at the old, and I mean old, LA Coliseum. And although we lost at the end of the day, the stadium was literally half Packers fans. The Go Pack Go chants were on point and loud. Had family and friends there. Sir Troy flew in and came to the game. Jay Walters popped by to say hi. And Ty Montgomery fumbled the ball coming out of the end zone, not giving Aaron Rodgers a chance to lead us to victory, but you never know what might happen. But it was still a great sunny day. And it's going to be sunny again this week. The game's at SoFi, and although the stadium is mostly covered with basically a tarp, excess heat could flow in. It's going to be 88 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, about 30 degrees Celsius. So we're not into the cold weather just yet, even though it's October, Scott.
I'll take it, man. I love the warmer weather with football, but that crispness is definitely starting to pick up here. So, hang on. I know it's warm by you, but things are coming. Are you ready for some keys to a Packers victory over the Rams?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact,
all right.
Bring it.
All right. Strategy number 1 should come as no surprise. Sort out the kicker situation. I know we've been spoiled for many years with Mason Crosby, but still, this game would have been a victory if even one of those field goals had been successful. I don't know much about coaching a kicker, but something's got to change and it needs to change soon. Whether that's allowing Waylon to kick, or drafting another kicker, or practicing the hell out of Narveson, we can't lose another game to special teams. Hands down. Strategy number 2. Hope for the Rams team that didn't play the Niners. The Rams are a mixed bag at the moment. Kind of one of those teams where the outcome is going to be dependent on which group shows up. Yes, they beat San Francisco, but they also lost to the Lions, the Cardinals, and the Bears. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this is an off week for the Rams because we desperately need this win. Not as much as they do, but we definitely want it more. And thirdly, keep it clean. I'm completely in belief that the winner of this game will be the one that has the fewest penalties. It's time to get back to my favorite phrase, fundamental football. Those chunks of yardage and first down losses and give-ups will be brutal for both teams this game, and it's time to tighten up those lines and secondary to keep that laundry off the field. If that happens, there's no reason the Packers can't walk away with a 3-2 record.
Oh.
And there you have it.
Yes. Preach. Bring it, Scott. Well said, and yeah, especially strategy number 3. I like that. And yeah, I'd like us to be 3-2. I'd be fine. I'd be bored, but I'd still be fine if the final score was 3-2, as long as we win. Excellent keys to victory, Scott. How'd things go with Packers Fan Podcast season wager of fun this week?
Well, no, nobody got anything. There was no points from anybody whatsoever. So nothing to be said there. But I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that with the Rams being banged up, actually, I'm going to make a change. I'm gonna make a change here, man. I'm going to say that Green Bay is going to win 33-24. I think that the secondary in Los Angeles is pretty dismal, and I think Jordan Love is going to tear them up. So yeah, 33-24. How about you?
Well, that's going to make things interesting for the wager of fun because I'm also picking 33-24.
Oh, are you really?
Yes. What a weird coincidence. Do you want to change?
That is a
to
weird
get some sort of advantage or disadvantage, or?
Oh man, we got to do something. We can't have the same score. So I'm going to say 34-24. How about that?
Okay.
34-24. Yeah, we'll have to go from there.
Okay. 34-24. I say 33-24. We got a couple listeners who also were bold enough to send in picks. What are they thinking is going to happen?
Well, let's see here. Listener picks for week. Let's see. Jay Walters says Green Bay 28, Rams 18. And Dan Dyler says Green Bay 31, Rams 21.
Those are solid choices as well. I'm loving the fact that so far this season, we're predicting week 5, and nobody has predicted a Packers loss yet. Nobody. So
we're feeling pretty confident.
Yeah.
Feeling pretty confident.
Well,
I love it.
It'll dash the confidence just a little bit briefly because in the NFC North, the division that matters, the Vikings are 4-0. I don't know how that happened or why it happened, but that's got to stop. The Lions, Jared Goff was on fire. They are now 3-1. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the alternate helmets the Lions wore this week. The blue helmets with the black lion logo. I thought they were pretty cool.
I did not see it. I did
Scott.
not watch the game on Monday. I know.
Well,
I should have.
The uniforms themselves were kind of but the helmet looked pretty sharp. Not as cool as a green and gold helmet with a G on it. You know, let's not go crazy. So the Packers are 2-2, and the Bears are 2-2. Are you pulling up video footage right now?
And I just wanted to look up the image and see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks sharp. Yeah. I do like that.
Look good on a color TV. Some other happenings around the NFL this week that caught my eye anyway was the fact that the Ravens looked pretty darn good for a team that was 1-2 going into Sunday night's game, which they easily won. So they are now 2-2. Also, special thanks to Lamar Jackson for all the fantasy points again this week, 25 plus points. Victory again.
Very cool, man. I'm happy for you. My fantasy season is not going as good as I would have liked, but that's a whole other podcast. And speaking of other podcasts, my other podcast called The Gaming Outsider has a new episode out this Thursday. We're going to be doing our monthly tradition of answering questions from our community, which always makes for really fun conversations. You can hear my show at the same places you listen to this one, and you can find our website at thegamingoutsider.com. And also, I did a Patreon episode with my lovely wife, who I've been married to for 19 years now. And over the past decade that I've been doing podcasting, she has never once sat down with me at a microphone, and she did it last night. It's exclusive to our Patreon subscribers. So if you want to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/thegocast. It was a really fun, sweet episode, and I would appreciate the contributions. Also, please consider coming to R2V2 on Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th here in good old Rockford, Illinois. If you'd like more details, you can find them at thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2.
That's amazing. It is now October. That means that R2V2 is upon you. So this is going to be so cool.
I'm squirming in my seat a little bit, man. I need people to show up.
Yes, please. Check it out, everybody. Rockford, Illinois, home of Scott Clark, Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and many others. So check out R2V2. Not that
I love how I got first billing over Rick Nielsen.
Obviously.
That's amazing.
Obviously. Oh, yeah. Thanks again for using Patreon to help support the PFP. If you'd like to financially support the show through Patreon, check out all the details. PackersFanPodcast.com/giveback. Like Mr. J. Walters. Go Pack, go, and thank you for your Bart Starr legendary level support of the old PFP. And pledging at the Jordan Love $10 level. Go Pack, go, and thank you, Dan Dyler.
And how about those Brett Favre level patrons? Thank you. And Go Pack goes to Scott Bors, Megan, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast. You guys rock. And Go Pack goes and thank yous to these fine Curly Lambeau level supporters: Hank Davis from the TPE Network, Joe Christensen, and Brett Connor. If you are interested in joining in, all of the details can be found at PackersFanPodcast.com/giveback.
And please remember that this is the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast. We're not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. But either way, we do want you to tell a friend about the show. So just tell them all about the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion, Green Bay Packers.
And lastly, do us a favor, follow us over on Twitter, or as Wayne likes to call it, some letter, I don't know. Our handle is at PackersFanPod. My personal handle is at GoCastScott, or you can follow the Gaming Outsider at the GoCast. And Wayne's handle is at Wayne Henderson. And here's our PFP community members, Megan, Andre, Joe Christensen, and Dan Dyler, to send us out to LA for victory. But quickly, we'd love to include your own Go Pack Go to the mix, so send in yours to us as well.
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go! Go, 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 Pack, go!